Hello and welcome back to the LFC transfer room. Today we're going to be doing another transfer central where we go into all the latest rumours and transfer stories regarding Liverpool. Today we've got three guests. I'll start off with you, James. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm going for a track record. I'm gonna try and go for a week in a row. But yeah, I'm good.
Fair. And Sam, so Squeeze, how's you known? How are you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Good, just recovering from COVID, so yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
to be back after quite a while off the
Yeah,
channel.
good.
So.
Good to have you back, mate. And Dan, Mr. The owner, Dan. First appearance in a little bit. How you doing?
Doing great, guys. Doing great. Been trying to post this a little bit more often on the Twitter page. A few things here and there, but I just got a new phone, so it's taking me a little while. It's a weird one too. I'm switching to Team Android now, so let's see how that goes.
That is a chandelier in the background, though, isn't it?
Look at that. I'm at my grandma's house too. That's why.
Beautiful black backdrop. But today we just got a few stories. It's been a quiet week, if I'm being honest. Not many reliable things coming out, but we will discuss the reliability during the streams as we always do. So welcome to everyone joining. Make sure you do leave a like and subscribe. Get your comments in as well, and we'll be discussing them. But good evening, Spectre. How you doing? So our first story, we're going to start with Saka. There's been a report from Duncan Castle's friend, Ian McGarry, I think he is. He does the Transfer Window podcast. He is saying that Liverpool have shown an interest in Saka and that Saka's considering the move. That Jurgen Klopp's a big fan, and he's looking to move away from Arsenal. Obviously, in 2020, when Saka signed his contract with Arsenal, there was a bit of talk that he could potentially be joining Liverpool, and that Klopp was a fan. So this, what the Transfer Window podcast have said, isn't new. Like, it's not. It's a bit of an old story because we have shown interest in Saka. A lot of people reported that in 2020. But James, I'll start with you. Do you think Saka would be a good addition to this Liverpool team?
Yes, really quick. I think he'd be a great addition. I think the main thing that Saka seems to demonstrate that I think is really high on Klopp's list is attitude. He seems like a humble young man. He seems like he's not like your Dele Alli or your Jack Grealish going out, getting off their face drunk and stuff like that. He seems like he's a good, humble man. He was devastated at the penalty loss. Even Liverpool fans got behind Saka when he came to Anfield and came on the pitch. I think, therefore, he demonstrates the attitude that Klopp likes, and then mix that with how good a player he seems to be. And he needs to develop. And how much development can he get under Arteta in this Arsenal team? I think an opportunity to play for someone like Klopp is probably too good to pass up, should we be able to put the money up to buy someone like Saka. And as with FSG, it's always about, would we ever put the money up that you'd need to get Saka? And that's the biggest question mark over probably the player and whether Klopp would want him.
Yeah, I mean, Saka this season for Arsenal, he's probably been their most prolific player. He's got 6 goals and 4 assists in the Premier League alone. So Samuel, do you think, obviously if the move does happen, should Liverpool take it? He's a option for left back. He can play on the wings as well. So he's a versatile player, which we know Klopp does like.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I rate him highly. I think, like, when you watch him for Arsenal, like, especially, I think last season, he was like their main man when they were going through that little terrible run. So, yeah, I think he's a top player. I think he's got good versatility, so he can play as an 8, right wing, left back. So, yeah, I think personally it's a non-starter. If he's available, highly doubt he is. If he is, then I think that would be a no-brainer for us to go for. So, yeah.
Yeah, Dan, do you agree with what Samuel and James has said?
I think it's a no-brainer, right? I think that if you are under 20 years old or even under 21 years old and you're starting for a Premier League side It doesn't matter for which side you're starting for, but if you're starting in a Premier League side and you're under 21, you are meant to be a top talent, and that's the case with Saka. Although Duncan Castles is not one of the best sources, you guys already know, he's pretty unreliable with news. Just like Charlie said, this does come from past links, so we do know that other sources in the past have said that Jurgen Klopp is a huge fan of the player. He's young, he's quick, he has versatility. He's English, which is really important as well, right? And I think like the fact that he's going to be available on a free is just a massive bargain. In the team, in that Arsenal team, regardless of what you think of Nicolas Pepe or not, he was a European top talent. He came from Lille, scoring all these goals and stuff. So he's starting ahead of him. He's starting ahead of Aubameyang, although he's playing as a striker now. I'm pretty sure you guys remember he played as a winger for some time. He's starting ahead of Martinelli. I mean, he's starting ahead of all the players in the wing. So to be able to do this now is the perfect type of player that Liverpool need. We need someone on the wing that is able to challenge our wingers for that starting spot. So I think it's definitely one of those players that we should be looking into. And also, huge. A quick hello to LFC Spectre, who said that I look like Mikel Arteta's son.
I mean, as you alluded to there, Duncan Castles and co. Regarding Liverpool, they're not reliable at all. It wouldn't be for a free transfer because he actually extended his contract in 2020, and his deal ends in 2024. So he's got 2.5 years. Obviously, as you alluded to there as well, he is English, which always bumps the price up. And he's versatile, as a couple of people have said in the comments. But let's just say hypothetically, we were to sign him, Samuel, how much do you think Liverpool would have to pay this summer to get him?
That's a good question. I actually have no clue. If I was going off my valuation, I probably value him as high as like 100 mil. I think
100 mil.
Yeah, I think. Wait, pause. When does his contract end? Okay,
2024. So two and a half years.
Okay, so they can still get good value for him. So I'll probably go for 80 to 100 million. Like I wouldn't if we bid for him, let's say 100 million, I wouldn't be like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I rate him that highly. I think after Salah and possibly like you're looking at players like yeah, like I think when I look at Salah, like if we want to go down in the list of the best right wingers in the Premier League right now in this moment, Saka's up there. So like yeah, I wouldn't bat if we went for that 80 to 100 million mark. So yeah.
James, do you agree?
To a degree,
that's a lot. That is a lot of money, by the way.
It's a lot of money.
Damn.
Plus the rival as well.
Yeah, but it's Jude Bellingham money. People are saying Jude Bellingham's 100 million. Is Saka Jude Bellingham? Don't know, but they're the same age. They're England internationals. I think where I'm...
Saka's 2 years older.
Yeah, but where alarm bells go off for me is he's a right winger, and we've got the best right wing in the world.
Exactly, yeah.
He can play on the left, though, as well.
He can, yeah.
You can, but and then you get understudy and stuff like that. But if you're going to spend 100 million, it needs to be a guaranteed first teamer, doesn't it?
He is also, you got to consider that. Well, at least I think at the moment there's not many young talents that are worth more than 50 million in the current world, aside from Mbappe, Bellingham. If we're talking about Saka, even though he is a great player. You need to be a world-class player if you want to be worth more than 50 million. Is Saka a world-class player? I don't think so, but he's definitely a top talent. He has potential to be a world-class player, yes. But the only young players that currently probably are worth more than 60, 70 million, you have the Bellinghams, the Mason Mounts, maybe. You have, I don't know, like I said, Mbappe, Phil Foden's, maybe. But it's just a very small bracket to be considered that highly of a value for such a young player. So I think he's probably worth maybe like the 45 million tops mark, and then you're scratching that 50 mark. That's too much for me.
You've got the England tax, though, haven't you? And I think that's probably where I was like, oh, God, you're probably right in the valuation because the England tax is a huge thing due to the requirement to have English players.
That is
Grealish is worth 100 million.
How much would you say the English tax really comes in for a young player? Is it 10 million, 15 million?
I'd say 20 million.
20. I think 20. Yeah.
That's a lot too. I mean, I was thinking 10 to 15, but
and plus on top of that, we're looking at the fact that we're buying him from Arsenal. They are not going to want to give us him they want to give us him at the highest price possible. So I think putting that into consideration, I think we're looking at probably 100 million. I honestly think so, because if we're looking at the way he's coming, he started on the right wing towards the end of the Euros, so like he came ahead of Sancho, Foden, Grealish. He started, so he's English, so basically like he's basically right now like he's a star. You know what I'm saying? So I think valuation is a bit up and down, because obviously you're not paying for what he actually is. You're paying for what he's done, the rival club, Premier League tax, and all kind of things. I think 100 mil is actually quite fair, I think, personally. But
I want to pose the question to anyone, and anyone can take this up. Would we're saying 100 million's a lot, but let's say it's like between 75 to 100 million. But could he be Sadio Mane's long-term replacement? There's been talks about Jeremy Doku, Luis Diaz, but he could potentially be his long-term replacement. And then that 100 mil, if we have him for 8 to 10 years, it starts to look like a bit of a bargain. But I mean, the question was, do you think he could be Mane's long-term replacement if he was to buy him?
Yeah, I'll start with I think he definitely could. And I think you raise a good point. He's 20 years old. You could sign him on a 7-year contract, which means you can take that 100 million, you can split it over 7 years financially for Liverpool, so they're not having to pay it out. He could comfortably be Mane's long-term replacement. And when we talk about Rafinha, when we talk about Gerard Bowen, is Saka better than them? I would probably say yes, and he's English on top. So it's definitely a good question to pose. For me, it'd be a yes, and I'd prefer him over our more linked with Bowens and Rafinha's for myself.
Well, I think we also have to consider the fact that there's not many players on the wing for Arsenal that are going to be shining at the moment. There's not much competition if you think about it. So the question really is, if you move Saka to Manchester City, to Liverpool, heck, to even Chelsea, would he have the same impact that he has in this Arsenal team as he will have in all these other teams? I personally don't think so. In fact, if you bring Saka to Chelsea, to Man City, and even to Liverpool, I don't even know if he starts right now. So I would say at Arsenal, he's going to be starting every day in and out. But if you move into a top side like Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, will he even start? Would he even show up as much as he shows up in Arsenal? That's what I'm thinking as well. It's not going to be very likely.
The way Mane's been playing, which is very hot and cold, I think in this Liverpool team, he'd be getting game time. And if he's scoring, then he's playing. And you're playing in an Arsenal. He seems very much like a confidence player, Saka, to me. And you have a Klopp around you telling you exactly how to score goals and what to do. It's like a humble Raheem Sterling for me. That's how I picture Saka.
That's a really huge comparison too, because Sterling at that time, he was also great. Pretty similar level as well, would you guys say?
Yeah, I think Sterling maybe looked a bit better because of the players around him. But I think Saka could go on to reach higher than Sterling, if I'm being honest. I think he's a lot more down to earth. He bounced back really well from the penalty miss. As James said, he got a standing ovation from Liverpool fans and other fans around the country. So, that says something about him personally. The fact that, a club who a lot of fans don't support England, giving him a round of applause. It's maybe we give him a round of applause because he made England lose the final, but that's a discussion for another day maybe. But yeah, I think he could reach higher than Sterling personally. But just a finish on the Saka thing. Again, another hyper. I can't speak today, man.
Hypothetical.
Hypothetical. That's the word I was looking for. I don't know how Kris and Jack do this all the time. Emile Smith Rowe or Saka? Who would you prefer?
Has to be Saka, right? I mean, Smith Rowe has only been doing it for like one season. Saka has been doing it already for 2-3 years.
Yeah, I think right now Saka's more established, and I think he's a better player than Smith Rowe. It's probably Saka.
Yeah, I'm with the others. Saka is different league to Smith Rowe at this moment in time.
I do rate Smith Rowe though. I think in a year or so he'll be in the Mount bracket of player. But that was just a random one. But we're going to move on to the next subject, which is Jules Koundé. But before, if you aren't subscribed, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button and turn the bell on. Also, be sure to leave a like and get your comments in. We'll try and ring up as many as possible and make sure to get involved with the discussion. Okay, Jules Koundé, someone who was linked with Chelsea a lot. The transfer was meant to go through last year, but Sevilla basically said no. Reports today have come out from El Nacional. Very unreliable, but they like to post crap all the time. They're a very lottery type of publication, hit and miss. They have said that Liverpool have looking to strike a deal with Sevilla for the region of £75 million, which would see us buy Jules Koundé and loan him back for 6 months to Sevilla until the end of the season. They've also gone on to say that Liverpool and Koundé have an agreement already. It's just down to the club. Very confusing and doesn't make a lot of sense, James, considering we bought Ibrahima Konate.
It's mental, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Why would we spend 75 million on the centre back when we've got other areas we need to strengthen? I think it'd almost be as bad as Liverpool not spending anything again in another summer transfer window if we just pumped another 75 million into a centre back. I think you'd probably get a similar uproar. It smacks of Liverpool are going to do this deal unless you do it, Chelsea, at the price we want.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's and the thing is, he doesn't even fit into our style of play. I think he's a good ball playing centre back, but he's tiny. He's tiny for a centre back, and we like to have our centre backs quite tall and quite big to be able to wing duels up in the air and on the ground as well. So I think I wouldn't take him personally.
I think the thing that we have to do consider. I mean, let's just shift aside from the name of the center back for a second and think, will Liverpool really bring in another center back in any shape or form, in any type of price or availability, even if it's a free transfer to the club? I think it's just very unlikely. We currently have a surplus of center backs, considering the last season we had an injury crisis, quote unquote. So I think it's safe to say that unless two center backs leave, I don't think we're not going to be looking at any center backs at all, whether it's free, whether it's 20 million, 30 million. It's just safe to assume that any type of rumors coming about a center back is just unlikely. Also, two quick shout outs. One to Anthony. If you guys, whoever's watching, if you guys like the overlay, Anthony's our big guy for the graphics and the YouTube content. And also another shout out to everybody just doing the project, because we already hit 2,000 subscribers. So Samuel, James, everybody that does it, and the viewers also, thank you. So sorry I shifted away from the topic.
No worries. Just a little bit more on Koundé and the whole situation around Chelsea. Spectre has brought up a good point here. This must be Sevilla public relations PR trying to tell Chelsea to pay up. Look, it was reported last season that Real Madrid and Chelsea both made an €80 million bid but they got rejected because Sevilla only want a 90 million euro. They're not willing to go any lower. So that could be a good point that Spector's made there. But, Dan said something about potentially 2 centre-backs leaving, which when we look into it, it's not impossible. Nat Phillips is looking for a move away and Liverpool are happily open to selling him. And there has been reported Joe Gomez going to Aston Villa. And do you know what? We've been linked with a lot of centre-backs since we've signed Konaté, which I was always a bit, why is this happening? But, there could be something in it. It's El Nacional, so there's nothing in it. But there could be something in us signing a centre-back. Sam, if we were to lose, let's say, Nat Phillips and Joe Gomez, let's say next summer, Koundé would be a great signing. He could be, it could be Konaté and Koundé. That's a Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk sort of partnership there.
Yeah, I think the only way I wouldn't take him is because of the price that he's available for. I think Chelsea were after him for quite a bit of money, and obviously it kind of fell apart there. So, and also I don't really like the fact that he's a bit too small to be a Liverpool centre back. I think the way Klopp's designed our team is that we've got giants at the back. But obviously, when you're a ball playing team like we are, teams are gonna want to play long balls, attack that way. So obviously, when you've got defenders that can do both, play on the floor and go man for man up in the air, that helps you to pick up second balls and so forth. So I personally wouldn't take him. He's a good player. He can play on the floor. He's quite aggressive for his height, and he actually wins a lot of duels for his height. But it's still not up to scratch to someone who's 6 foot or whatever. So
I didn't realize he was 5'8". I thought he was like at least 6 foot.
Nah, he's really, really small for a defender. But he's actually really good for his height. I think for his height and for his size, I think he does really, really well. But I just think in the Premier League, up against players like, I don't know, Chris Wood, play like that, they will bully him. So, and I wouldn't, just want to see that. So,
Another thing is that you do have to be keeping an eye on Joe Gomez because, maybe Nat Phillips is a for sure guaranteed player that is going to leave. But Joe Gomez, we know that he has the quality to start at a top club. So maybe not Aston Villa, but I'm telling you, if the Rudiger move to Real Madrid doesn't work out, just keep an eye on that Joe Gomez to Real Madrid possibility because they're going to be looking for someone young, a top talent, guaranteed to be a top starter for that team. And someone like Joe Gomez is definitely capable of playing for that Real Madrid side next to Militao or Alaba, whichever one you put. He fits the profile perfectly. So just keep an eye on the situation. I do think that he could eventually run out of patience because after starting next to Virgil van Dijk day in and out to suddenly becoming the third or fourth center back option, he knows that he can start for a different team. I feel like he eventually is going to try to get a move elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting debate around the whole Joe Gomez potentially moving, and there's a lot of centre backs out there at the moment that we could sign. So yeah, it's a bit of a, unless anyone else has anything to say, I think it's a bit of a non-starter, this rumour. But we will move on to the next topic, which is Divock Origi. Before we get into that, make sure you do leave a like and subscribe. Again, make sure to be talking with the comments, get involved in the discussion, give your opinion, and we'll bring it up in the chat. But Divock Origi, we're all absolutely baffled by the fact Newcastle have signed Chris Wood for 20 million Great British pounds, a 31-year-old who has 3 goals in about 1,500 minutes. It was also reported that Newcastle were the bidders of that £7 million, which makes it even more crazier, the fact that they haven't chose Divock Origi. James, I'll start with you. What's going through Newcastle's head? I know we're the Liverpool channel, but they bid on Origi, so we'll tie it in together.
Well, we Eddie Howe loves to give us money. Let's start with that. Jordan Ibe, 20 million. Thank you very much. Steal of the century. Brad Smith, 6 million. Dominic Solanke, 20 million. So while he thought he could get away, maybe he thought he's got enough credit with Liverpool, I'll throw in a £7 million bid. They owe me one. But it makes no sense, does it? Chris Wood, I think it's 150 Premier League games, 50 goals, 1 in 3, which ain't bad, but you could have Divock Origi, who is, unpredictable, can score goals from anywhere, had worked within sort of a fluid system that Eddie Howe wants to play. I think it makes no sense why they've gone for Chris Wood for me. I don't think it necessarily suits how they're going to play or anything like that. But
Chris Wood is January, English, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the case of what you guys said about the English tax. Sam is muted.
Sorry, he's from New Zealand, actually. He's not English.
Yeah,
is he?
Yeah,
he's from New
I
Zealand.
found out when he signed something about the New Zealand internationals. Yeah, he's not British. He's from New Zealand.
Then it just doesn't make sense. I mean, 20 million for a player that is already that age. New Zealand tax, I guess.
Do you not think this is an absolute masterclass by Newcastle, Sam? Burnley a relegation candidate, and he took away their striker.
Yeah, personally, I can see why they would go for him. I think we wouldn't want to let Origi go. I think reason being because Salah and Mane are at different combinations, and we've got now 4: Jota, Firmino, Minamino, and Origi. I think Liverpool thought by it, but I think they thought late goals might need you sometime. Let's just keep him. Let's just. I'm saying. So I think even if Newcastle bidded quite a bit of money, I think Liverpool would have tried to keep him. Cause I don't think that we're gonna go out and buy an attacker if he left. So I think Liverpool probably played a part in keeping Origi. I think for Chris Wood and Burnley and Newcastle, I think that's a good deal. I think Chris Wood is a player that will just give you a solid 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. He'll run channels, he'll compete in air, he'll nick a goal here and there. And I think Callum Wilson's injured for a while. So obviously he won't be their main starter when Wilson's back. And also I think it practically puts Burnley down because I think Chris Wood and I forgot the other guy's name, the other striker, but yeah. No, there was 2 of them. I forgot what it was called, but yeah. So I think
Ashley Barnes.
Ashley Barnes.
Yeah, Ashley Barnes.
Yeah, those 2, they were like their go-to guys to get goals when needed. So I think buying probably not their best player, but like their star attacker is a must class. Obviously, it practically weakens them. Newcastle have money to waste. Probably signed for low wages as well. 20 million. I don't see any downside. So I think Newcastle probably guaranteed staying in the Premier League. I think Burnley are struggling as it is, and if you're losing your star attacker, that makes it even worse. So, and I think even Burnley were even furious about losing him.
Yeah.
Newcastle. So it does raise a bit of some eyebrows, but yeah, I think it's a good deal personally. I can't see anything wrong with it personally, but yeah.
Dan, I'll pose this to you. What Spectre said. What do you think about Burnley? I've got 20 million in the bank. They need a striker. Liverpool have a striker who they might be willing to sell for 15 to 20 million. It's maybe not a Divock Origi team, but do you think Divock Origi might work under Sean Dyche?
I don't think he's going to. It could work, yes. Divock Origi has the potential to be a star player in a mid-table Premier League side, I think. Yes, you have the case of when he went on loan to Wolfsburg, and he didn't really have a certain position. He was playing on the wing. He was playing one day out. But this is a league where he knows he can perform. We've seen multiple. Don't let him go there. We've seen multiple times that Divock Origi comes in as a sub, and when you give him minutes, he performs. He gives you goals. But not only he just gives you goals, he gives you important goals, which is what matters. Can you imagine what will happen in a side where he's a start man, starting day in and out, maybe like a Crystal Palace, maybe like maybe like a Burnley, even though there's more of a defensive side, but he's a pretty tall striker. If you give him to a Premier League team that use a sole striker, he's gonna be doing great. The reason why he's not doing as good in XGs or just goal output at Liverpool is because he just doesn't play. You cannot expect a player that is sitting at the bench to suddenly just come in and score you tons of goals. I mean, that's only an attribute that world-class players have. The likes of Jota, the likes of maybe Xherdan Shaqiri, who just recently lost. The super sub label that people give to a player is not something that you usually see on most players. Once you sit on the bench, if you don't get minutes, regardless of your training time, you're not going to be at your full capabilities. But if you give a player like Divock Origi a bunch of game time, he's going to show you what he can really do. So I can assure you, if he moves to Burnley, Crystal Palace, Wolves even, he's going to start showing you what we were missing from the Divock Origi that we saw 4 years ago, 3 years ago, that the young Divock Origi.
I think West Ham would be an ideal, split role with Antonio because he can't play all the games, Antonio.
Or maybe if you put them two tall, fast
striker
strikers, that's really good too.
Yeah, I think Burnley's a bit too low for him. I think it's a bit slow for him. I think West Ham's a good team. Palace, those kind of teams that I can see him playing for and doing quite well for. So I don't know if he'd want to go there. 'Cause I do remember quite a while ago, Wolves wanted to get him, and I think at the time they were quite low on the table, and he was like, "Nah, I don't want to go there." So I don't think Burnley's quite his team, and obviously I wouldn't want to let him go just yet. I just still feel like there's still a story left for him here. So yeah.
Well, he goes now or goes for free, doesn't he? And I don't mind if he goes for free.
He doesn't. We have a year to extend after this year, so he's.
I would totally mind if he goes for free. I mean, this is a player that is already a legend in our books. We could not just let him go for free. I mean, give us at least 10, 15 million for the guy.
Would you let him go for so would you want to? Let's say we keep him. He's instrumental in winning us the Champions League, and he goes for free, or we what do you call it? We sell him now, and we win nothing coming in the season.
And this is the thing, we're not going to get big money for him, are we? 10 million's nothing.
Yeah, that's not life-changing stuff, basically. Like, for Liverpool anyway, like I feel like 10 million, 15 million, I think Liverpool can take a loss on that. I think we got him for, I don't know how much we got him for in the first place, but I'm sure that it was 10 million, yeah, so it's not too much money. I think they wouldn't mind taking a loss on him, especially when you look at what he's done across the years and what he can possibly do. We still got the Carabao Cup second leg. I think he's not fit for the tomorrow's game, but the final that we might get, I just still feel like we might as well just let him go for free because there's so many big games and he's basically, you know what I'm saying, the guy for the game. So yeah.
I gotta agree with Sam from a fan perspective. Like I even agree, like 6 million, 10 million is nothing. But I'm pretty sure, Charlie, I don't know if you remember, maybe. I'm trying to remember. There's a few clubs that already made bids for Divock Origi, and Liverpool are like, we're not going to take that. That's nothing.
So Newcastle were the club that bid 7 million. I think the Athletic confirmed that, and a lot of other sources. Lazio are trying to convince him to basically join because Origi wants to stay in the Premier League, but he wants higher wages if he moves. And obviously the Serie A don't like offering people a lot of money. As also Bundesliga clubs interested in him. No actual names have been put out there, but he's a popular man because I think people know that he's up for leaving. And I'm still convinced if Liverpool get anything over 15 million, they sell him this summer. A lot of journalists have said that Liverpool don't want to sell him, but no journalist has ruled out, as definitely said, Liverpool will not sell him. They have just said they don't want to sell him. I personally think Newcastle come back in for him because Newcastle are looking for two strikers. Chris Wood is a backup striker, and I think they're going to still look for somebody for an actual, a starting striker for the next 2 months while Callum Wilson's out. And I think Divock Origi looks like he's going to be back soon. So,
Yeah,
maybe
you also got someone who's commenting is Qmores. I don't know how to say that name, but he says these little fees make up a lot of money, and maybe for fans because we're so used to and accustomed to the 100 million transfer, 50 million transfer, we hear 10 million fees and we're just like, oh, it's nothing. But from a business perspective, I'm pretty sure Liverpool do see that 10 million, 7 million fees as a huge amount. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars, millions of pounds. I think from a business perspective, if I'm Liverpool, I'm not willing to get rid of £7 million. Like, there's no way. We need to make up either what we spent on this player, or we need to make up more. So yeah, I just don't see it in the situation that Liverpool are currently now financially. Not saying we're pretty tight on money. We don't want to spend too much or lose too much. 7 million to 10 million to 15 million is huge. I mean, we got Thiago Alcantara for 25 million. That's just 10 million more than what we can sell Divock Origi, right? So
just because I think Clay's put it in the chat, Origi's got to play a certain amount of games before we can activate that 1 year extension, and he's played 41 minutes in the Premier League so far this season. He's got 2 goals.
I think it's the clause is starting, and it's in all competitions.
Oh, then it's 0 starts in the Premier League so far this season.
Yeah, I think he started in the Champions League a couple of times, hasn't he? And maybe
twice.
And he started in the EFL Cup.
Yeah. It's pretty sure there's going to be getting activated. I think it was Simon Jones, or who was it that recently came out saying that it's most likely going to be activated. So it's probably just one game.
I don't think the club would let him not do it, to be fair. But
they'd either go now, this in January, they'd sell him now, or they'll play him to activate it.
Yeah, I mean,
January will tell us.
Yeah, I mean, if we do sell him, let's say we sell him, in the next week, we're already nearly halfway through the transfer window. Did Liverpool need to sign someone, Samuel, if we do let him go?
I think we do, but I just don't expect us to. So it's like, whatever. I think if we let him go, it's weird because I don't see him starting in our Premier League games. So we have Brentford and Palace. Those are the 2 games that we have while Salah and Mane are gone. And I don't know why, but I would probably start Minamino ahead of him because Origi is a centre forward, and Firmino for me takes that centre forward spot. So I would want to sell him, and I think we can probably risk selling him now and not regretting it in terms of having an injury or something. But I think just to stay on the safe side, if we do sell him, I think But at the same time, who do we go and get? Because January to get a player that obviously Klopp likes players who are going to stay for quite a while. Like, he can't go and get someone, panic buy someone, or get someone who's not going to be there for long term. So I think January deals are probably quite hard to do, and I think looking at a couple wingers, I've seen Luis Diaz being thrown around a few times, but I would, but it just depends on Klopp to win it. So yeah.
Would you guys, if it meant no signings, and let's say you receive a pretty big fee for Divock Origi, let's say a 20 million fee on January, but if it meant no signing on January, would you guys still sell him considering it's a pretty big fee?
I would, because look, it's going to be unpopular, and it probably might not work. But I trust Kate Gordon. Honest to God, do I think he's going to have the impact that Divock Origi has? No one knows until we give him a chance. Like, that guy looks unbelievable. He's had championship experience. His goal was obviously it was against League One side, but it's not when. This guy's meant to be one of the best prospects in world football. Like, and I honestly believe if we give him that game time, that he can offer us something different. And as Samuel said, there might only be 2 games that we don't need Divock Origi, and he could be injured for them as well. So I'd rather sell someone who's not available and that we can put 20 million towards maybe one or like a couple of signings next season and trust youth, because I think trusting youth has done us quite well in recent years with Trent, Elliott, Jones, Tyler Morton coming through, Kelleher. So yeah, I'm down for youth, but I personally I'd sell him. I think if an offer over 15 million come in, I'd get rid of him.
Yeah, and someone said here is Kumers again. He says he has a hefty wage. No, actually, it's LFC Spectre who says we're not a charity club. We're Liverpool FC. We need to make profits on players. We cannot just. This is a pretty well run business, so I think 20 million fee in January, even if it means no players, like Charlie says, we have K. Gordon, Takumi Minamino, Harvey Elliott, who could probably play in the wing or up front, wherever you play him, coming back.
We've got Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain too, the best false nine in the world.
I mean, there's options that we haven't really seen much of that are probably going to be better. So, I mean, I would take it.
Nico Williams on right wing.
You have Alisson Becker, who knows how to score some pretty good headers up front. So
I'm sure we can get Peter Crouch on a free transfer too if he's down. Luis Enrique loves the club too. Get him on the wing.
Dirk Kuyt's writes things for the club. He's about, isn't he?
Yeah, you've got loads of ex-players. Danny Agger, he'll give it a go, I'm sure. But it's a tough one, innit? I'd sell, but hey ho, my opinion doesn't matter, does it? In the grand scheme of things. But finally, we will move on. Just a little bit of talk on the Arsenal game. Not on too big, but you know it's happening tomorrow. If many people care, Arsenal fans seem to care because they think that we're faking tests. Won't say too much about that. But Samuel, thoughts on the Arsenal game? How do you think it's going to go?
Anfield, I can probably only see one result. I think they've got quite a few injury stuff going on there, and obviously COVID. Also, they have a few. I think their midfield has been hard hit because of El Neni and Partey going to AFCON as well. So they've been hit quite hard there. So I think we should dominate the midfield. I think Jota, Firmino will have a walk in the park with the defenders. I don't think that he'll start both with Partey and Gabriel. I think he'll go for either a holding or something like that. So I think I can see probably a 2-0 victory to take it back to the Emirates. And I think that should be enough to win the tie. I can't see us losing 3-0 at the Emirates, and I can't see us not scoring either. So, yeah, I think hopefully we can get the job done at Anfield. I think 2-0 Liverpool, Jota. I go Jota and Minamino.
Dan, thoughts on the game?
I mean, I think it's the perfect time for Liverpool to make their mark and try to get themselves closer to silverware, because it doesn't look like we're going to get that Premier League title. Champions League is a pretty tough call right now, especially with our current performances. So I think it's going to be a really easy win for Liverpool if they're able to perform how they should perform, considering injuries. I mean, Smith Rowe is doubtful because he has a groin injury. Tomiyasu is also injured, I think it is. There's plenty of players out for international duty. Nicolas Pepe, Partey. I mean, the chances now, there's so many starting players that are going to be missing for Arsenal. And even though Liverpool are also missing Salah, Naby Keita, and Sadio Mane, we have more than enough players to beat them and get us closer to silverware, which is, although not going to be Premier League worthy, is going to keep the fans calm a little bit. And that's what fans need. I don't care if you say you care about the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. The moment Liverpool achieve another trophy, it's a trophy. So they're going to stay quiet. They're going to be happy. So I think that's all we need. Regardless of the situation, go get that win, and it looks very, very likely.
James, agree with the lads? Think we'll beat them at Anfield tomorrow?
I think we'll beat them. I think it'll be harder than we expect because you know, as much as they failed massively against Nottingham Forest, and I watched that match, a game against Liverpool is a game against Liverpool. They won't find it difficult to get up for that one and motivate. They won't. The position of underdogs will help them, but we have a habit of pulling Arsenal apart in more recent times, especially at Anfield. So I expect us, probably a 2-3-0. I'm really enjoying, I really enjoyed Firmino against Shrewsbury when he came on and ran the forward line. He was doing flicks and tricks, not just for the sake of it, but it had impact. Everything went to a player, and I think he enjoys that role of being in charge of the attacking line. I think he enjoys it a little bit more because obviously when Salah and Mane are there, he's support. So I think it'll be a good game for us. I think we should probably see some decent football from us. And as Anthony says, the Trent masterclass is loading in, especially with Jota and Firmino in the box trying to head in, opportunities coming bang on the forehead. So, yeah, they'll be up for it. It'll be a good first half, but I think we've got too much from.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that's a good point that Clay's made there, you know, with the whole news of Arsenal fans and especially journalists. You know, as a journalist myself, I think a lot of people have played a lot on this Klopp faking COVID test, and I think it's made him angry. He seems very cagey answering all the questions. I think he's taken offence to it that's even, you know, thought of that he'd fake a test, and I think that the fans are going to be right behind him. I mean, who did we play in the last round? Was it Leicester?
Yeah,
and you know that I know people who went to that game said it's the best atmosphere that they've had this season, and you know it's even though it's the League Cup, I think with the background behind what's happened in the past week, I think Anfield's going to be right up for it. And you know, when Arsenal fans are usually quite confident about coming to Anfield, we usually put 4 or 5 past them. So I think it's going to be a slaughter. Unfortunately, not fortunately for us, but unfortunately for Arsenal. You know, maybe Saka can see what he's coming to play for. But yeah, any final thoughts on it or from anyone?
Nah, it should be a standard win, to be fair, I think.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. I mean, we also have to remember that this is Mikel Arteta's second year in charge, and this is the closest they're at the moment at silverware as well. So it's going to be a tough one. Just like we're excited to get to that final, they're also going to be excited to get to that final. So there's going to be a lot of high emotions running the field, and this is another great chance to see some youngsters. We'll see what some other players can do, and just excited for the game.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you so much for everyone who joined me. James, Dan, Sam, make sure to go and check out all of the social medias. Thank you to everybody who got involved in the comments. If you're not, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. We're going to be having a watch along for you tomorrow for the Arsenal game, and there will also be a James Dean video out on a certain Monaco.
Tushmene. God, yeah. I hated that name. Do you know how many times I said that wrong?
Aurelian.
What a player! What a player, though.
So you've got that to look forward to tomorrow. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, turn the bell on, and thank you for